What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Square One Podcast. Got a real special one for y'all. This is a little bit different. You see, we not in the studio, not in the WashU studio today, but nonetheless, we got a really interesting one, a really interesting interview, actually for a class project. So y'all gotta let me know how y'all think I did. Maybe I got an A, B. Let me know in the comments or whatever, and make sure to like, subscribe, and all that. But I got a real special guest, like I said, a very accomplished sustainability professional and a very big mentor in my life. So, how you doing, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, man? I'm happy to be here. And congrats on the podcast and the A that you're about to get.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's saying this is gonna be an A already. All right, yeah. So, Mike or Michael Woods, as you may know him, a big sustainability professional, specifically in Dream Builders for Equity, which is a company that I'm actually a part of. I did the Summer Youth Academy already. I'm gonna let Mike speak a little bit more about it because he knows, the logistics. So what is your profession?
Yeah, so I am the co-founder, president of Dream Builders for Equity. Right now we're sitting in Hyde Park and we're also sitting inside of our headquarters. Hyde Park is a neighborhood that's truly dear to my heart. This is a community that I grew up in. It's North St. Louis City. If you aren't familiar with Hyde Park, it is 70 in Salisbury is a good way to locate it. Mm-hmm. We are currently investing about $10 million into this neighborhood, completing a 50 property development. So that's 25 rehabs that'll be sold to first-time home buyers, and then 25 free home renovations for seniors. So we do that in partnership with young people and then also minority contractors. They work together to complete these rehabs. The youth are getting between $15 and $20 an hour while they work with us, but they also get an equity stake in their houses. So that means that every time we sell a house, portions of that sale we share with the young people. We also have the young people journal. So they're writing down their experiences every single day. We compile those journals and then make it into a book that they have 100% ownership of. So when it comes to the young people, they're getting their youth employment, they're getting equity from the properties, and then they're also getting the royalties from those book sales. As we were rehabbing the neighborhood and trying to create the change that we wanted to see, we recognized that real estate and rehabs alone will not be what transformed the neighborhood. So we started to think about how do we bring more grocery stores, gas stations, medical things into this space. So we just started with what we could do. So we recently opened up a retail store in this same community where we sell art, apparel, and books. The really cool thing about the retail space, as you know, is that there's a screen printing machine, there's an embroidery machine, and there's a DTF machine. So these are all things that you can come in, create your own products, and then sell it directly to consumers. So we making it easy for young entrepreneurs and community members to become entrepreneurs, but with that safety net. And then the last piece, well actually it's two more pieces. We recently took possession of about a 6,000 square foot building that we're converting into a daycare facility. So it'll be a daycare facility, and then the second and third level will be residential apartments. Again, thinking about the neighborhood in a holistic way, like what all things can make this neighborhood more attractive. And then the last thing, which you also participate in, is our chess program. So our high school and college age youth are going back into the elementary schools in the River Garden School District and teaching those young people how to play chess. And it's another way for our young people to get paid, but it's also another way for them to be mentors to their younger group. Yeah. So that's Dream Builders in a nutshell.
Yeah. And I was actually watching your TED Talk yesterday. 77,000 people also watched it as well, and a lot of inspiration from that. And I really like how you summarized it there, like something for everybody in the community. That's really what it's all about. I really love that. Speak a little bit more about what your current job and role is in Dream Builders.
So as the president and CEO, CEOs are really supposed to focus on three things. It's a little bit different when you have a startup and you have a smaller group of folks, but we focus on, actually raising the capital to keep all of this going. We also focus on staff and team members. So it's really important to have really good culture and have a really good team And that's usually my job of identifying those great people. And then lastly is that culture. So like being really intentional about how we lead as an organization, how folks interact with us, what their experiences are. And for us, like one of our main core values is family, love, love. Mm-hmm. So everything we do it with the understanding that everybody that we're engaging with is a part of our family. And how do you treat family? You treat family with love, with patience, with grace and mercy. So you will see that kind of weaving through all of the work that we do, that underlying feeling of love. And then the second part of that culture is that ownership mindset. So every part of our org, the young people or any participants, whether they're seniors, they're all building up ownership in some type of way. So when we talk about the free home repairs for seniors, we're putting a new bathroom or a new kitchen in our house, is building up equity in that house that they own, and now they're able to access that equity as well. The same thing when you guys are writing those journals, you're creating ownership of that book, ownership of your narrative. And the same thing is happening at the store when you create your own products and sell it directly to consumer. But we think about that not only with the young people, but also with the contractors that we work with, them partnering and working with us. This is allowing them to scale their businesses as well. So they know we're doing a 50 property development, investing $10 million. All 10 million of those dollars are going through the hands of those contractors. So just being real intentional about love, and then also the ownership mentality.
Definitely. I love that, because it's just like you kind of said, ownership. I know you talked a lot about that in the TED Talk, which I'm gonna link that down below to make sure you guys see, because it's a lot of interesting things you can get it from it. And then like you were talking about, like ownership is freedom. So just giving people the opportunity to get out there and be free with what they want to do. To take it a little bit back to sustainability, and I know you really talked about it because, like you said, $10 million project, 50 properties, that's really big for sustainability. But speak a little bit about how does Dream Builders really correlate with sustainability?
For sure. I think for us, being that we are a nonprofit, typically with nonprofits, they raise a bunch of capital, they deplete that capital in the same year, and then have to start the next year trying to raise that capital again. With us, our motto is already, we already include the thought of how do we self-sustain. So with the rehabs, let's say we are able to raise $2 million. When we complete the rehab and sell the rehab, we get those funds back. So now we're able to not have to have our hand out again. We're able to recycle that money into doing the next projects and continue to flow. Yeah. That's the same way with the House of Vision retail store. This is a House of Vision jacket too, just so you know the quality of what we're creating and selling.
Cameraman even said it's fresh.
It's kind of nice. Yeah. But this is another way for us to think about the future and thinking about us being around for the long haul. Because we're not only allowing other people to come in and create wealth for themselves, but because we have the screen printing and the embroidery and the DTF machines, we're able to create our own revenue to self-sustain. So all of our models have that intentional thinking in every single aspect of what we do. Is how do we take money to be able to be a true blessing to the community, but how do we also self-sustain in a way that this continues to go on and on and on without the support of others.
That's really good, because that's really what sustainability is about, preserving what you have, and those three I's, environmental, equity, and then economic. And I feel like you touch on all of them perfectly, even like just with the homes, making them more environmentally sustainable when you have the opportunity to, which is so great. And I want to know a little bit, kind of take us back to square one. What was your first thought of why you wanted to start Dream Builders in the first place?
For sure. So myself and Neil Richardson are the co-founders of Dream Builders. Shout out to Neil. It was really us thinking about all of the work that we had to do to get to where we were. Mm-hmm. So at the time when we started Dream Builders, I had a nice portfolio of real estate properties. So I had been buying properties, fixing them up and renting them out. I had published 4 books, and I had personal training company and a gym partnership downtown St. Louis, Missouri. These things were on fire. Like, I was really starting to feel myself and understand like that I was making a difference, and also that I was becoming pretty successful with those things. So Neil was seeing the book signings, he was seeing the events that I was throwing, and then vice versa. I was watching Neil while he was working at US Bank CDC, climbing that ladder in corporate America. He was getting promotion after promotion. And one day I came to Neil and said, yeah, what if we gave this information that we have to young people to prevent them from having to bump their heads as much as we did to get to where we are. And that's why you see the makeup of the organization being that the students publish books, the students are able to like have ownership of properties. And then with Neil brought in that lens of thinking about community development. While working at US Bank CDC, his main goal was to understand how things impact community as a whole. So he said, let's not just, do a house here, do a house there, or impact the students. Let's think about how do we impact a neighborhood or a community. So we were both able to see that vision and know that it would be amazing and impactful to St. Louis and even beyond. And then at that time, I always give a shout out to Charlie Cooksey, who was my girlfriend at that time. She's like the philanthropy queen. She's been doing this longer than anybody, managing $1 million budgets since she was probably 25 years old. And seeing her be so impactful and being right next to her, having that much proximity to her, allowed us to learn and grow really quickly in this space. And we were able to take all of our unique talents to make Dream Builders super special. And then I'll go even further and say, like, just on another personal level, in high school, I did all of the cool things you could do, whether it was sports, winning state in basketball, honor roll, so doing great academically, voted most popular, of course. That's I didn't want the awards.
Yeah, right.
But the day after the state championship in my senior year of high school, I got expelled. So I got expelled from school and couldn't go to any more schools in Missouri. Ended up going to Chicago to an alternative school to graduate high school. And I got expelled because at that time, living in Hyde Park, I was hustling. I was selling drugs, but selling drugs and being on honor roll and being a star athlete and being a really good person in general. And I didn't have anybody to tell me within the academic setting to not do those things. Like, they saw me, they knew I was doing it, they celebrated me in every other way, but nobody came to me and said, hey bro, maybe you can try this or you could do these things differently. And then at the day after we went state, which feels like they used me until they got what they needed, and then allowed me to then be expelled. So that made me really think about, like, how can I knew in that moment that was like a changing point for me, and I also knew that I wouldn't allow young people to ever go through that same thing. Like, if I see somebody doing something wrong, I'm gonna give them the information to do better or give them other routes that they could take. So that's what was like true to my heart. In our first cohort of young people, we worked with alternative school students. Me graduating from alternative school, everybody kind of threw me away and thought, oh, he's gonna go to jail or he's not gonna be successful. So I really wanted to make sure that we work with that young group, that core group of people first. And now we scale into working with young people who are performing at all different levels. So
I just really love how focused you are on like pouring back into the youth, because like everyone always talks about like the mistakes that they go through, but they never talk about how they can tell other people other than just, saying like, oh, those kids are dumb or whatever, giving them the opportunity to see where they could go, and like you said, that's something in your life that you said, you could have had, but now it's best for you to try to give that to someone else. I just really appreciate that, giving us all the opportunity to really do that.
And you gotta be the living proof. You gotta see people. I think the biggest thing that myself, Neil, Jessica, Colin, Nikki, Hump, Kenny, all of us as a team provide is like the living proof. You get to see folks who come from similar environments that may have the same struggles or the same wins, but you get to see us being everything that we telling y'all that y'all can't be. And I think that's important. You gotta see people that look like you that's thriving.
All right, so yeah, you kind of already talked about it a little bit, but the professor does want to know a little bit more about like what was the path to get here. So what was like your path to get to Dream Builders? You talked about the alternative school, and then after that, like where does it go from the real estate? Like how did you get like? Tell us kind of.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So great story from alternative school. I ended up at Lindenwood University. I was living in Chicago, so I did anything I could to like, how do I get back to St. Louis? Even though now, I think I didn't take advantage of Chicago because I love Chicago so much. But I was in a rush to get back to St. Louis, attended Lindenwood University. At Lindenwood, my freshman year, I purchased my first property. So I was working at True Manufacturing. So Lindenwood is in St. Charles. True Manufacturing is in O'Fallon, Missouri. So I would drive from North City all the way out to St. Charles for school, 8 to 1 o'clock or something like that. And then from 1 to 3, I would drive to O'Fallon, Missouri to go to True, sit in the car, sleep till 3. 3 o'clock hit, go to work from 3 to 12, 12 to 1, driving back to North City, and then redoing all of that every single day. But that was a beautiful journey for me because it allowed me to recognize the power of having a job, a full-time job. And I know we really preach about ownership and entrepreneurship within the org, but I think it's also really important to understand that like we got to this space to be able to like fully lean into entrepreneurship by utilizing full-time jobs to create those things. So while I was working at that job, I was using those check stubs, those tax returns, and building my credit to be able to purchase properties. I was also in that job writing poetry and writing all of my thoughts, and decided to combine all of those poetries and thoughts to make it into my first book. So I think the college experience for me was probably a little bit different than most folks, because most people go to college, they do the academic side and they do the social side, but they don't have a full-time job. And I not only had that full-time job, but I also jumped into the entrepreneurship world with having those rental properties and then also publishing books.
Yeah.
So that's part of my journey is college, graduating, and then really fully immersing myself into like the entrepreneurial journey.
That's really cool. And I like how you talked about like how you can use the full-time job, the 9 to 5, to project you to go to wherever you want to go, you know, and that's really cool because a lot of people, they'll try to frown upon the 9 to 5, but if you use it correctly, it can get you to where you want to go, you know?
You can't really avoid that part, and that's the thing that I always like to challenge the students with now is like, hey, don't run from the work. Like that's your only way that you're going to get that apartment that you want, that cool car that you want. You're going to have to show proof of employment, and it also shows your character. Like for me, I have a very hard time trusting somebody that can't keep a job or that don't have a job. People assume that credit is just about how you manage your money, but it's really about, can we trust you? It's really about, hey, do you pay people back? Do you have that maturity to know how to manage yourself? So I recognize that super early is that, you know, having a job, whether I like the job or not, it was a factory job, no air conditioning, no heat. We didn't get to sit down. It was a bell that buzzed at the lunch break, bro. Like all of the miserable things you could think about. But I knew what it was providing for me. And I think sometimes when I hear younger people talk about discomfort or not liking the job or not liking the setting or the way somebody talked to them, or I appreciate that you gotta always fight and stand up for yourself, but I also think that there's a missing piece about like that grit and grinding and understanding that like you use these things to get to the things that you want. Like now I have the ultimate freedom in the world. Like I do what I want every single day, every hour of the day, but I earned it through being willing to like do the hard work up front.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's a good perspective. And could you tell us a little bit about like an initiative that you were on, just a project, sustainability, and like how did it go, or what did you expect from it and the turnout?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one quick, easy, good one is always like our free hungry pairs for seniors. I think that's something really beautiful that we're able to provide to community members, and it's super important because we want the community to buy into the work that we're doing, and we want them to be a part of it. So every single year we identify between 5 and 10 seniors in the neighborhood. We actually have our students, which was the leadership group last year, go out, canvass the neighborhood, ask the neighbors like, what do they want to see in the community, and then also ask them if they need any support. They end up selecting 5 to 10 of those seniors that do need support, and then we show up and provide that support. And that this summer was, we put a brand new wraparound fence in a senior's yard. We put a new furnace in a senior's house who actually was having issues with her heat. We did some structural work, some foundation work at one senior's house, and then we did a roof for another senior. So thinking about how amazing those things were to like really solve big time issues for those seniors who may not have been able to afford to do that on their own. Yeah. And thinking about how we're able to keep them now in those houses and keep those houses alive, like a roof or a fence or a furnace, like these things are real components to keeping the house and preserving the house, but then also protecting that senior to not be like displaced and pushed out of the home.
Right, yeah, and that's really kind of going back to the video as well. Like you talked about, you want to develop a community, but you don't want people just to feel like there's development going on around them.
Absolutely.
You want them to feel a part of that, and that's really important because that gets people on board. Because then they'll see you around, and then they're like, okay, the dream builders are actually trying to help me as well. They're not just giving to the community. I'm a part of this, you know.
Absolutely.
And then they can, you know, it's like a team aspect. Then they want to see
Absolutely.
you in. You know, I was gonna say, like, what would be some advice you have for somebody like trying to get into sustainability? What type of skills do they need to have? What do they need to gain before taking on this role?
It's always important to like trust your visions. I think visions come from God. If it's something that you see inside of your head, it's something that you can do. I think the first thing you have to do is take that leap of faith and start. I'm working on my 5th book, and that book is called The Completionist. The Completionist is not a word, so don't try to look it up and Google it. But it's something that I created that really highlights what I think it is that sets me apart. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm someone that likes to get things done. I believe if you get something done, you have more of a fighting chance of actually making it great. So a lot of people, I would say 90% of the world, have big dreams and big goals, and they are trying to work on those things, and they're trying to like perfect it, but they don't do it because they want to perfect it. I say if you go ahead and do it, either if it's not perfect, you're now in the 10%. So you're no longer competing with the 90% of the world that's thinking about the idea. Now you're competing with the 10% of the world who have actually did the thing. You could be in the bottom of that 10%, but you're still in the 10%. Mm-hmm. And when you're in that 10%, now you're considered an expert. And now you get way more opportunities to perfect that craft. You get way more people that believe in your work and they actually push it forward. So my biggest thing is to trust your vision, take that first step, get it done at the lowest level that you can, and then be able to show the rest of the world that like, look, this is what I did with the money in my pocket. Mm-hmm. What if I had like a larger scale of support? Imagine how much impact I could create. So that's always my suggestion.
That's really good advice, because we even talked about it on the last episode that I did with a girl named Aaliyah. She's a model, and we were just kind of talking about like how to market yourself, and like a lot of times you only get that one shot, and you might not have everything prepared. You know, your suit might not be the best. You know, you might not have the script ready, but you got that one shot in the elevator to pitch yourself to somebody. You got to be able to just give them all that you got at that moment. I want to talk a little bit about St. Louis, because St. Louis as a whole, a city that it has a lot of culture to it. It's very rich, and it's something that I can tell that you're very passionate about growing and seeing this city get better. And then obviously we know a lot of the issues that we have in this city, but what are some ways that you've seen the city grow and flourish through Dream Builders?
For sure. Well, I think A big thing I could say is Hyde Park. We started in the Lewis Place neighborhood back in 2016. That's where we began our work. We moved to the Hyde Park neighborhood around 2020. We were real intentional about being extremely vocal and visible. So every day we was posting and really celebrating the work that we were doing and just talking about what is about to happen in Hyde Park. So us communicating that brought a lot of buzz and brought a lot of interest. So what happened within that time is that we had Gateway Global, who purchased 2 school buildings in this same neighborhood, invested about $25 million into those schools, into workforce development programming. We have the Urban League, who is now a really big component of this neighborhood. We have We Power, SCL, which is really a big component in this neighborhood. St. Louis University is now invested into this neighborhood. And so many others, like SCL, who was here before us. You got SLDC that is committed to this neighborhood. You have the Treasurer's Office that's committed to this neighborhood. And I think all of that start with someone standing up and saying, hey, this neighborhood is amazing. There's some amazing people. There's an amazing community, an amazing culture here. And we're going to step up and invest our dollars and kind of be the first or one of the few in the beginning that did so. And now I think others believe it and can see the vision of what we think Hyde Park is and will be. And now we have a group of people that's truly supporting and uplifting this neighborhood. And it's not just us, it's a collective of people. So I think that's what I'm most proud of, is seeing us be vocal and visible and galvanizing some great people to come in and do amazing work in this neighborhood.
What's been really cool about that is we actually get to work with them, as the youth. Like, I'm hearing you name all these organizations, and these are people that we collaborating with, throughout the summer. Definitely SLU, we talked to him, and the education school at SLU was really trying to pour back into us and let us know that, they have an opportunity to give us a full ride. He wanted to give us a full ride scholarship if we were just willing to, go through that program. And that was, even though, I had my college set out, I was really glad to hear that, because, we got some young people in here, and that's going to change their mind. That's going to help them think about it a little bit more.
For sure.
Could you discuss a little bit about what we do in the summer with Dream Builders, so Summer Academy and all that?
So you were a shining star. Gotta give Jason his credit, man. This dude is a true leader. I think him and another kid, Jared, y'all was like winning every competition and everything that happened throughout the summer. So take my hat out to you, and I know your future is insanely bright. But with Dream Builders, we have 4 different cohorts going on at the same time. We have the Academy Youth, which is first year Dream Builder students, and they're really getting exposed to everything. So they do a lot of personal development, professional development, financial literacy, the book publishing piece, and they get exposed to the real estate, but they get to meet some amazing, powerful people throughout this region. And they get to explore all of those things. And what our real goal is for the Academy Youth is with that exposure, for them to identify the thing that resonates the most with them, and then for them to let us know what that is, and for us then to connect them to all of the resources and give them all of the access that they need to really thrive in that space. So that could be scholarship dollars, that could be us connecting them to gainful employment, whatever that is. The second group is called the Apprentice Group. That was the group that was, they start in the basement of this building, and they are more focused on doing the hands-on activities. So they are out working at House of Vision, which is our retail store. They're also participating in the free home repairs for seniors and the real estate projects. And they're also really thinking about career readiness and jumping into the fields. Then we have our third group, which is the leadership group, which is in this room next door. And they are the folks that's been in the program for 3 to 4 years that have really shown to be true leaders. They have a little bit more autonomy. So their mission is to really impact the neighborhood. So every single day they are doing the canvassing, communicating with the residents of the neighborhood. They also are responsible for the 4 parks that are in Hyde Park. So they clean those up every single week, and then they have alleys that they are also responsible for. So they're cleaning up those alleys and engaging in that way. And then they are doing chess 4 days a week during the summer academy, teaching young people in the Ribbon Garden School District the chess. So they're more autonomous and able to just actually create impact in the neighborhoods on their own. They work really closely with Kenny and Jessica and Colin. So those are the 3 groups in the building, and then outside of the building is the alumni program. So we make sure that every student that has been in Dream Builders is either currently in post-secondary education or gainfully employed. So we reach out to all of the students, make sure that they are employed or in post-secondary education, and if they're not, they then become a part of the alumni program where we give them resources to identify a job or to identify a school, and we work with them for those 8 weeks until they do so.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's a really cool breakdown, and it's really like every time I see somebody 16 through 24 and they tell me they don't know what to do, I always think about like, I might just tell them about Dream Builders, because I'm like, anyone could get something out of it. Like you said, in the summer academy, there was so many good opportunities to not only collaborate, but just get the opportunity to figure out what your passion is, because we did so many different things, poetry, construction, technology.
You the poetry too. Like said it first for a reason. He had them bars.
I tried to do it, and they liked it. So that was a really fun exercise. Kind of got me more into poetry, honestly. What's the best way for someone that wants to work with Dream Builders or wants to just work for Dream Builders at Summer Academy to just jump in, tag along,
Well, most people are not gonna be like Jason. Jason reached out to me on LinkedIn and was like, yo, bro, I like what you're doing. Like, can we work together? Can we partner in some type of way? Forgot all about it, and like in the middle of the Summer Academy, I was like, yeah, Jason, how did you end up in Dream Builders? Like, how did you get here? He was like, yo, I sent you a message on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't recognize it. That was you. So that's one way. If you're really aggressive, that's the aggressive, assertive way to do it. But honestly, you can go to dreambuildersforequity.org. On our website, there is an application link. You fill out the application link. Dr. Kendall Word will get that information and set up a time to interview you. If you are connected to anybody in the org, reach out directly to any of us. And they usually like expedite the process. You'll still complete the application, but one of us will have our name. You can put one of our names next to the application, which will probably expedite getting you involved. But yeah, dreambuildersforequity.org, and then Dream Builders for Equity on any other social media platforms. Just reach out.
For sure, and I'm gonna put all those in the description. So if you can't remember all that, just go down the description and check it out. Because I'm gonna continue to keep supporting and telling people like, hey, this might be where you need to be this summer, So if this is something you're interested in doing, feel free to reach out, and you're gonna learn something. You're gonna get something good out of this. Anything else you got to tell us? We really appreciate your time, bro.
Man, I appreciate you guys. This is dope, man. Yeah. And I'm happy that you're doing a podcast. I feel like your voice is super necessary, man. Like, you extremely impressive. Every single day that I engage with you, I just watch you be like dope. You were a leader, and everybody follows your lead too. And you didn't do it like by commanding that. It was just like how you lead, how you are as a person. People just follow your example. So I really do appreciate who you are, how you lead, bro.
I really appreciate that, man. The podcast is something that's really special to me, and I'm really glad I got you on season 1. And we don't know where we're gonna take this. I'm thinking about taking this to other cities, So if you want to be on this, or you got somebody that you want to contribute to this, and they got a story to tell, just tell them hit me up. I'm trying to work with everyone that I can. But like I said, I really appreciate your time, man. Love you, bro. All right, well, yeah, that's the end of this podcast. We appreciate y'all going back to square one with us, and we're gonna catch y'all in the next one, man. All right, see y'all later.